Hi, welcome back to Channel 6 TV. Kenny Fogle here with you on Community Focus. I've got with me today a gentleman who's been here a few times on different occasions. He's been here as an attorney, been here and other working with Little League. I mean, he's had a lot of hats to wear. But right now he's throwing his hat in a different ring, and I want to talk a little bit about this, Mr. Jason Floyd. Jason, first of all, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
You know, about a week ago, I hear that you decided you want to become a write-in candidate for a school board for Bardstown school system, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, what got Jason activated now? So.
Well, it was, first of all, I've never run for anything. I didn't even run for class officer when I was in school, but, you know, I had thought about doing this back in the spring. I had some school issues that I was very motivated by, and had really intended to do this after I got back from vacation in July. But it was about that time that my law partner had some medical issues that he was dealing with that turned out to be pretty serious. And I thought that it would be best that I, you know, look after my practice and look after him, make sure that he was doing okay. So the deadline passed while right in the middle of where all that was going on, but then he's doing well over the last month and a half or so. He's been doing much better, and you know, I got to thinking about it. I saw, you know, a lot of concern in the fall about taxes and other issues with the school board. And I said, look, I'm done whining and complaining about it online. Well, I'm not done with it, but I thought I'd put my money where my mouth is and give it a right-in shot and see what happens.
Well, you know, a lot of people, they get all excited about these different races, state rep, county clerk, different things, but they don't think about school board. And school board really affects them money-wise and otherwise, probably more so than many of these other races.
And I also think that the school board is the new frontier as a political battleground. You know, I've done a little work for the school board, and you'd be surprised how many letters that they actually get from, for example, the Freedom from Religion Foundation or the ACLU over lots of different political issues. And then the thing in the spring that I was talking about was obviously where, after the Parkland shooting in Florida, the national campaign for the walkout, which was a democratically funded campaign originating out of Florida, and they sent out literature all over the country to schools, including the Bardstown Independent School System. And there enough, one day, without anything coming to the parents or discussing anything with anybody, boom, here it comes on a Facebook page from the Bardstown City Schools that they support the walkout. Well, I happen to be of the opinion that no independent school system or school system otherwise should be putting its imprimatur of approval on political issues. And I was very upset by that and made it known to the people who are my friends in the school system that I was very upset by that. And I think they, you know, heard the response. But that was what got my goat in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I spent a couple terms on the Nelson County School Board, and I guess one of the things that disturbed me the most is lack of participation. I mean, it's basically, again, you know, you can raise taxes, you can keep taxes the same, you affect the school system in so many different ways, and it affects every kid. And whether you have a kid in the school system or not, it still affects you.
It has, and I will say, you know, I'm the only one of the candidates that has kids currently in the school system. Actually, I would be the only board member that currently has kids in the school system if I won. I have four. I've got a junior in high school, an 8th grader, a 6th grader, and a 4th grader. And so it runs the gamut. And I'm hearing every day what it is they're talking about, what it is that they're doing, and you know, what they're bringing home. You know, I think the city schools have made efforts to try and connect to the community, but it does seem a little bit like once a board member gets elected, there's really only focus upon the school system and very little back communication then to the community. Why is it that we're raising your taxes every year? You know, yes, we've considered, you know, cuts in other areas to make up for loss of income. We'd like to hear that, but we don't. And that's not just the Bardstown City Schools. I think it's a pervasive thing. There are times with the interests of the school system and the interests of taxpayers may conflict, and a board member's got to be tough enough in order to deal with that. So, you know, there's not a whole lot of information or communication on it.
I remember the very first year I was on the school board years ago, and I voted to raise taxes that year. I remember that, and I got a call the next day from a constituent, and he asked me why I did it. I said, well, the superintendent made a good issue. He said, the superintendent's always going to be a proponent of raising taxes. He said, you've got to do your homework. And that is stuck in my head. I guess that's been 20-some years ago. And that is stuck in my head, that conversation to this day.
Well, I've had, you know, I did some social media blasts on this, and I had some people who have wanted me to just directly commit that I will not raise taxes. And I think it was old George H.W. Bush who bit the bullet on that years ago. Read my lips, no new taxes. You can't make that kind of commitment right off the bat.
Yeah.
I think that's a little irresponsible, and so I'm not going to do that. What I will say is that if there's been no effort in the numbers to make some effort at looking at efficiency, then I'm going to be reluctant to vote for any tax increases if there's been none of that. You know, we had, in the city schools, we had some personnel issues for many years where we had many people doing the same position at quite hefty salaries. Now, that's not the case anymore, but it was a thorn in my side for years. There has to be some look at efficiency. Now, school system also is getting tugged by the state. There's cuts.
That was my next question.
The percentage, you know, I think for the first time ever this year, the school is footing the bill for more than 50% of total personnel costs. That includes contributions to the retirement program. I think they were at 52 or 53, and it hasn't been that way for an exceptionally long time. So there are cuts and things that they have to deal with, and that might necessitate tax raises. But people are upset that they're, you know, taxes keep going up every year. And really, I won't be accurate. It is a 4% revenue raise, not a 4% tax raise. That'd be the better terminology. I think it was only 2 cents on the $100 that taxes went up. But it's still a communication issue, informing the community. And it's hard to do that when you only have, you know, board meetings twice a month at noon.
That's another issue we'll get into
another
someday.
issue that you have. But, so anyway, I think communication is one of the things I can be effective at.
Well, you go back a long way in the Barstown school system, and I know when you get talking Barstown schools, whether it's athletics or whatever, you get pretty passionate.
I like the school system. I was not purple and gold myself. I grew up in California, but my brother and sister went there. My dad went there. My grandmother was the city school secretary back in the Red Graham days. My mother and wife have substitute taught at the school. Like I said, I've got 4 kids in there. I've done site-based council. I've done Century Club. I've done, you know, volunteering in classrooms. You know, committing money when necessary. I did the broadcasts on the radio for years, and then switched over to the PA system at the games. You know, I've coached middle school teams, and I thoroughly enjoy all things school. But I want to. I'm not a yes man. I'm not, you know, a system guy. If something's not right, I'm gonna object to it. And I think most people who know
I
me
can
know,
attest to that.
most people who know me will know that I'm not reluctant to speak up when it's necessary to speak up. But so in that respect, we've got a new, you know, Ryan Clark, I think, is an excellent young man. I think he is going to be good for the school system, but it's a new administration. There's a lot of new people up there. They hit a home run putting Paul Bowling into the personnel category, but he's got to deal with new things. You got all new principals at 2 of the schools, so it's a time when, you know, you need someone who's willing to work hard, and I think my legal experience will also benefit, you know, the board.
Well, November 6th, Tuesday, November 6th, Election Day. Now, it's going to be a little bit different on the logistics. You're a write-in candidate. What do people got to do to vote for you?
You have to write my name in, okay? I did not, you know, do the regular registration deadline. I did the legal deadline for write-ins. Your vote will count, but when you go into that Bardstown Independent School Board thing, you have to write in my name, Jason Floyd or Jason P. Floyd, however you want to put it in there. You got to write it in. If you don't write it in, I don't get the vote. If you do write it in, your vote will count.
Even if they get the spelling has close, right? I mean, as long as,
Yes.
as long as I can understand it.
Floyd is the Floyd, and Jason, Jason. That ought to get it. So,
All right. Well, I just want to make sure that people knew that you're on as a write-in for the Barstown Independent School District. And again, I wish you all the best on that. And I will attest, if Jason's got something on his mind, you will know about it. Well, thank you for being here today. I know you're busy out doing some things.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get the word out. November 6th, I can't remind you enough of that. We've talked about that over and over. That's voting day today. You make your choice for people that will be representing you, and whether it's on the school board or something else, please show up on November 6th and vote the way you think you need to vote. Again, that's your vote, your individual vote, your duty, your right, your privilege. Vote. We'll be back in a few minutes here on Channel 6 TV, right here on Central Kentucky Television. We'll be right back.